My name is Lillian Mae Carter. I am 97 years old, and for 75 of those years I have carried the scent of smoke in my lungs. When people visit me now at the assisted living home in New Orleans, they see a frail woman with trembling hands and an oxygen tube resting beneath her nose. They hear the softness in my voice and assume it has always been this way. They do not know that once my voice could silence a crowded room without a microphone. They do not know that on one terrible night in 1951, fire took everything from me, except my life. I was 22 years old when the club burned down. Back then, I sang at a small jazz club off Bourbon Street called the Blue Ember. It wasn't famous, but it was alive. The walls were deep red, the tables packed close together, the air thick with perfume and brass. I grew up in Treme, raised by a seamstress mother and a dockworker father who played records by Louis Armstrong every Sunday morning while I pretended a wooden spoon was my microphone. By 17 I was singing for tips, by 21 I had a steady set, and by 22 I was engaged to the club's piano player, Samuel Sam Baptiste. Sam had a crooked smile and hands that belonged on piano keys. He used to tell me that one day we'd play at Carnegie Hall, and I would laugh at his big dreams. On August 3, 1951, the club was full and the music was strong. I was halfway through stormy weather when I smelled something bitter beneath the usual haze of cigarettes. At first, I kept singing. Then I saw smoke curling along the ceiling. Someone screamed. Flames climbed the curtains in seconds, fast and hungry. Panic swallowed the room. Sam grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the kitchen hallway, but the main exit was already blocked with terrified bodies. The heat grew unbearable, the air thick and burning. I stumbled when my heel snapped, and Sam dropped beside me in the smoke. The kitchen window shattered outward, letting in a rush of night air. "Go," he shouted. I refused. He pushed me toward the opening anyway. I crawled through broken glass and fell into the alley. When I turned back, the hallway behind him was nothing but fire. I screamed his name, but the flames answered instead. 34 people died that night. Sam was one of them. I woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed with scorched lungs and bandaged skin. When I tried to speak, only a rasp came out. The doctor told me my vocal cords were badly damaged. I would speak again, he said gently, but I would never sing the same way. Reporters called me lucky, the miracle survivor. They did not see the nightmares, the guilt, the way smoke followed me into every quiet moment. I stopped singing. I worked in a dress shop, pretending music had never been my future. The smell of anything burning sent me into panic. For years I believed surviving was a mistake. Why did I live when Sam did not? In my 30s I tried to hum in my kitchen and cried when my voice cracked. In my 40s, a neighbor girl asked me to teach her to sing. I almost refused, but I agreed. I taught breath, posture, feeling. I could no longer demonstrate high notes, but I could teach heart. Slowly, music returned, not as performance, but as purpose. By 50 I was teaching children in my living room. The nightmares never fully disappeared, but they softened. Grief became a scar instead of an open wound. At 85, one of my former students invited me to her recital and asked me to sing with her. My voice trembled, thin and imperfect, but it carried truth. The audience stood anyway. Now at 97, my lungs are weak from age, not fire. Sometimes I still smell smoke in the dark, but I no longer believe the flames should have taken me too. Survival is not theft. It is responsibility. The fire took my fiancé, my career, and the silver soprano I once had, but it did not take my ability to love, to teach, to remember. When warm evening air settles over New Orleans and a distant trumpet drifts through the streets, I close my eyes and whisper into the quiet, "I'm still singing, Sam. Just softer now."